Yas Aspedia. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day and your week are going very well so far. NFL Week 8 is officially here, and I have a ton of great picks to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day and a new week comes a new opportunity to go ahead and make some money. I have a ton of great picks to go ahead and share with you guys in this Week 8 NFL slate. We got spreads, totals, team totals, money line, teaser, parlay, all that stuff and more in today's video. So go ahead, if you haven't already, please make sure to go ahead and drop a comment, leave a like, and hit that subscribe button. We have a ton of great picks here on the channel between this video and all of our videos here, and the best part is they are all 100% free. All right, guys, before we dive into today's picks, a quick little recap of how we did last week. Now, if you had watched the video from the week before, we went absolutely nuclear, an insane day, one of the best betting days of my life for sure. And although we didn't do that great last week, I still don't think we had a bad week overall. We went 6-7 on our single bet, our straight bet pick, 6-7 overall. We had a really solid start to the day, and then as we went into the afternoon slate on Sunday, going into Monday Night Football, we definitely tailed off. We lost each of our last 4 single bets from last week. We were 6-3 going into the 4 o'clock slate, and then, like I said, just kind of fell apart later in the day. But like I said, not terrible overall. We went 2-1 on our teasers, 1-3 on our parlays. We actually hit a nice plus 236 parlay, one off from hitting that big plus 1013 parlay. So overall, not a terrible week. We are now 35, 27, and 3 on our single bet so far this year. 3-8 on our parlays with a couple really nice big hits in that parlay category, and then we're 8-7 on our teasers with a lot of plus money hits. So overall, really solid numbers across the board. Let's see if we can build upon this and do even better this week. I love the board this week. Really nice set of picks here. I think we're in for a really big week and for some really big cashes. So let's go ahead and dive into this week's picks. Jumping right into the outlier screen, guys, our first pick and our first game, actually, we're targeting in this week's slate. We have the Eagles-Bengals, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. I'm going with the Bengals here, minus 2.5. These two teams are not too dissimilar from one another. I think the Eagles are the Bengals of the NFC, and the Bengals are the Eagles of the AFC. Very similar teams in which they both have a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. They both should have been contenders coming into the year, and yet they kind of been falling flat in a lot of times this season. Both are kind of wildly inconsistent, but I do like the Bengals slightly in this spot. This kind of feels like a coin flip game to me, but the fact the Bengals are at home and the Eagles have kind of struggled lately on the road over the last 10 games or so, dating back even to last season, I like the spot at home for the Bengals. The Eagles also have a lot of injuries that concern me. I know they came off a really big win last week in the Saquon Barkley Bowl. Nice little revenge game for Saquon there. Nice revenge game, nice win against the Giants. I obviously faded the Eagles in that game, wrongfully so. But I think the Bengals are a good team to go ahead and take advantage of some of these injuries, specifically on the offensive side. No Jordan Mailata, no Dallas Goedert, some really key misses, even on defense too in the secondary. I think the Bengals can go ahead and take advantage of the matchup. This is an offense that's been getting better and better every week, and a defense that's been really, really solid of late. And it kind of sucks for Cincinnati because they've actually overall had a pretty decent year. Look at their losses. Take the New England loss out of it back in week 1. They played Baltimore really tight, Kansas City really tight, Washington really tight. All 3 of those games were very winnable for the Bengals. So I think this Bengals team is a lot better than they get some credit for. Obviously, I know the record's not great, but the team's trending in the right direction. And the return to health for the defensive line has been majorly important to the improvement of the defense overall. That's the key matchup here. This Bengals defensive line against this Eagles offensive line that has some injuries, specifically, obviously, Jordan Mailata. I just don't trust Nick Sirianni in this Eagles offense very much. I know they had a decent game last week versus the Giants, but I think the Bengals are a better team. We saw the Bengals obviously beat the Giants pretty handedly in that Sunday Night Football game. I think having this game be at home gives them the slight edge they need to go ahead, I think, cover the spread of minus 2.5. Like I said, last 10 games for the Eagles on the road, there's a 40% hit rate on the spread, 30% overall, but 40% on this plus 2.5 line. You see a lot of misses here for the Eagles on the road over the last 10 games. A lot of misses. And like I said, overall, their last 10 games, 3-6-1 against the spread on the road in general over the last 10 games dating back to last year. This Eagles team has struggled on the road. And not just even on the road. Overall, the Eagles in their last 13 games dating back to last season, just a 23.1% hit rate against spread, 3-10 overall. Really not good marks there for the Eagles against the spread. I just trust Zach Taylor in the Bengals a little bit more than I do Nick Sirianni and the Eagles. So give me the Bengals here, our first pick, minus 2.5. All right, guys, next up we have Texans, Colts in Houston, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. We're going with the under here, 46.5. Just not really a fan of this game in general. I think it's going to be a sloppy, low-scoring affair between these two teams. The Colts defense will be getting better and better every week. And the Texans defense has been solid overall this season. Ultimately, I just don't really trust either of these offenses right now to put up points against the opposing defense. Now, the Texans obviously have a lot of names and whatnot, but no Nico Collins. It's a big loss for them. And C.J. Stroud this year has been decent, but they haven't really been scoring a ton of points on their opponents. As a matter of fact, this line at 46.5, the same line for this game, is actually covering at a 71% hit rate for the Houston Texans so far this year. Only 2 times this season have they gone over this total 46.5 points in any of their games. They had that Patriots game where they scored 41 points on their own, and then all the way back to week 1 against this same Colts team, 29-27 in that one. Oddly enough, though, I think both of the teams were in better spots back in week 1 than they are now. The Texans were at full strength. They had Nico Collins. The Colts, full strength, had Jonathan Taylor, had their full team. Anthony Richardson played pretty well in that game as well. But even for the Colts, a 57% hit rate on this under line of 46.5 so far this year. So these are 2 teams that have been covering the under pretty consistently at this line of 46.5. Even going back to the last 10 games, 70% for the Colts, 70% for the Texans. These are 2 teams that the totals are not going very much over in these games. And look at the last 2 matchups between the Colts and the Texans. One this year and the last one last year. You see the game this year went over, 56-point total in that one. But the last game last year was a 23-19 game, and the total was at 42, so the under obviously hit. I'm just expecting a low-scoring, kind of ugly game here in the AFC South. So give me the under here, 46.5 in this one. All right, guys, next up we got Packers, Jaguars, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. We're going Packers here on the spread, minus 3.5 points. I got to be honest, I absolutely love this spot for the Green Bay Packers. The fact that it's only a 3.5-point spread at minus 115 on FanDuel right now is pretty crazy to me. I think the Green Bay Packers are far and away a better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doug Peterson might have saved his job for another week with that big win in London last week against the Patriots. But let's be honest, the Patriots might be the worst team in the NFL right now. Not very good at all. So beating that Patriots team, I don't think you get a lot of kudos for that. I think it only provided a mild distraction from the fact that the Jaguars are 2-5 this year, have the worst defense in the NFL, and offensively have been wildly inconsistent. I don't want to go ahead and predict this will be the final game, but if this isn't Doug Peterson's last game as the head coach, it's one of the last games. His end is coming for Jacksonville. The Jaguars team is a mess. I don't think there's much turning around here. This is a really bad matchup versus a Packers team that is one of the best, not just in the NFC, but the NFL overall. Top 10 scoring defense in the NFL right now against the Jaguars offense. Again, it's tied for 21st in the NFL in scoring. Overall, just really inconsistent. But the flip side is where I really like the matchup here. The Green Bay Packers offense, top 10 scoring offense in the NFL. Top 10 passing offense, top 10 rushing offense. The Jaguars, 30th scoring defense. Their numbers are a little bit better thanks to the Patriots game. But 30th scoring defense gave up 27.7 points per game. They are 31st against the pass. Now, they're actually a pretty decent run defense, but that pass defense is absolutely atrocious. I think Jordan Love absolutely takes advantage of the matchup here and throws all over this Jaguars defense. And on the flip side, I just don't think the Jaguars offense will be able to overcome this Green Bay defense. The Packers, really solid team. I don't want to put it into existence, but maybe a Super Bowl contender. Definitely in the top class of the NFC, up there with the likes of Minnesota and Detroit. And I guess you could throw the Eagles, the Commanders, whatever team you want to throw in there. The Packers are contenders in my eyes, at least. It's a really solid team. They have good defense, good offense, a lot of firepower on both sides of the ball. Give me the Packers here, minus 3.5. The Jaguars also traveling back from London after being overseas in a different time zone for the last 2 weeks. They now have to travel back from London to Duval to host this Packers team who came off a really nice win against the Texans last week. Give me the Packers all day here, minus 3.5. And piggybacking off of that pick, guys, our second pick from this game, our 4th pick overall, we're going Packers team total over 25.5 points in this matchup. I just love this matchup between the Green Bay Packers offense and the Jacksonville Jaguars defense so much. I have to go ahead and bet the Packers team total here. It is still a little juicier at minus 142. You can go ahead and bet it lower, obviously. Bet a little higher. You could do 26.5, 27.5. The odds will be a little bit better. Playing a little safe here with the Packers at over 25.5. They've cashed this over at a 57% hit rate so far this year. 4 out of 7 games they've cashed the over. They're averaging 26.57 points per game this season, which of course is the 7th best mark in the NFL this year. And when they haven't cashed that over, it's been pretty close. 24 points versus the Rams, 24 points last week versus the Texans. But like we said, this Jaguars defense is giving up 27.7 points per game this season. Really, really bad. I mean, just look at some of the point totals that Jacksonville has given up so far this year. Obviously, like we said last week versus New England, just 16 points surrendered against a really bad Patriots team. Not too surprising there. But then look at 35 points to the Bears, 34 points to the Colts, 24 to the Texans, 47 to the Bills. The total is certainly high, but for good reason. This Packers offense should have a field day playing Jacksonville here. Love the spread -3.5. Love the team total even more at over 25.5. And next up, guys, speaking of those New England Patriots here, our next game, Patriots-Jets, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. Give me the Jets on the spread here, -6.5 points. Look, the Jets have obviously been in the spotlight a very lot recently. They've been in the spotlight really all season, but especially the last few weeks with all the moves they've been making, all the primetime games they played in. But the reality is this Jets team has been on an absolute, well, let's call it a disastrous run of late. 4-game losing streak here versus Denver, Minnesota, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. 4-game losing streak. The last time they actually won a game was, it feels like 100 years ago, that Thursday Night Football game back on September 19th against this very same New England Patriots team where they beat them 24-3. Now, the Patriots are obviously in a different spot than they were back on September 19th. They now have Drake May starting at quarterback. But that's the only thing really that's better from where that Patriots team was going all the way back to week 3. Remember, at that point in time, the Patriots had beaten Bengals and had gone into overtime with Seattle. So going into that Jets game, you kind of had the hope that maybe New England would hang around. We were obviously wrong, and the Jets blast them. That was kind of the beginning of the end for this Patriots season. Like I said, they have Drake May now, but everything else around this roster has gotten worse since that week 3 matchup. Although I can't really say the Jets have gotten better since then, the roster looks pretty decent. They obviously now have Devontae Adams, who now gets another extra week to go ahead and prepare for this game. Hassan Reddick is officially back, finally signed his deal. He will maybe make his Jets debut in this matchup. At the end of the day, guys, I don't think it really matters. This Patriots team is just not good at all. And the Jets, again, they have slim chance to make the playoffs at this point, but if they're going to make it, this game is an absolute must win. And I think they need to not just win the game. Let me not jumble my words here, guys. They need to not only just win this game, they have to win it convincingly, I think, for the public to go ahead and get back on board with the Jets team. Again, some really bad losses of late. That last game versus Pittsburgh, 37-15, was absolutely embarrassing. They got to get back on track here, but there's no better team to do it against than the New England Patriots. This Patriots defense and offense both bottom 10 in the NFL. They're bad at everything. Bad defensively, bad offensively. And the Jets, like I said, not a great team, but I think it's a really solid matchup here. They killed them the last time they played this year. I don't think it's going to be much different this time around. Give me the Jets here, -6.5. All right, guys, real quick before we dive into the rest of this week's pick, a quick little word from our sponsors over at FanDuel. That's right, guys. Guy Boston Sports and FanDuel Sportsbooks have officially partnered to bring you guys this very special offer. And it's very simple. If you're a new customer, use the link down below in the description. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bet. No tricks, no gimmicks. It's as easy as that. If you're a new customer, use the link down below in the description. Bet $5, and if the bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets. You absolutely cannot beat this offer, guys. It's a lot of free money, and all you got to do is put a little $5 wager down, and if you win, maybe taking one of my picks here in the video, you could get a lot of money on top of the profit, obviously, from the bet. $300 in bonus bets can go a very long way. Obviously, NFL, we're in full bloom. College football, full bloom. The NBA is back. NHL is back. We're in the midst of the World Series. Those bonus bets can help you guys out a lot here with all the sports going on. Don't miss out on this very special offer from FanDuel. Use the link down below in the description. Bet $5 a new customer. Get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Very special thank you and very special shout out to FanDuel for partnering with us for today's video. Now, let's get back to the picks. All right, guys, next up we got Falcons, Bucks, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. It's already the second meeting between these two NFC South rivals this season. Give me the Falcons here on the spread, -2.5. Now, these two teams met not too long ago, back on October 3rd for Thursday Night Football. A really exciting game. The Falcons ended up winning in overtime, 36-30 against the Buccaneers. This time around, I think the Falcons are in a much better spot than the Buccaneers are, and a lot of it has to do with just plainly with health. Not only did the Buccaneers lose on Monday Night Football to the Baltimore Ravens by double digits, they also lost the majority of their offense. Chris Godwin is probably done for the season, and Mike Evans is out until at least after their bye week. And as great as Tampa Bay has been so far this year, I just don't know what this offense looks like without Mike Evans and without Chris Godwin. Baker's been great, but one of the reasons why he's been great is because he has those two receivers to go ahead and throw to. Mike Evans has been one of the best and most consistent receivers in the NFL over the last decade, and so hasn't Godwin really. Without those two, I just don't know how this Buccaneers offense is going to look against a Falcons defense that's not very good, to be fair. But I just don't know what to make of Tampa Bay without these receivers. I need to see what it looks like. But in the meantime, we got to make a bet here. I think the Falcons are the better team right now. If Evans and Godwin were playing, I might lean a little bit closer to Tampa Bay. But without those two, I think Atlanta is clearly the better team. And this Buccaneers defense is just plainly not good. We saw that versus Baltimore this past week. They're now 20th in the NFL in scoring defense. The Buccaneers defense, 26 points per game this season. More importantly, they're 29th against the pass. They're giving up 254 passing yards per game to opposing offenses. Not very good when you consider that the Falcons' passing attack right now ranks 6th in the NFL, almost 249 passing yards per game as a team. The Falcons are right now 7th in yards per play. The Buccaneers are tied for 27th. Really good matchup across the board for this Falcons offense against a pretty bad Buccaneers defense. They did go to overtime last time, but the Falcons did score 36 points the last time these two teams played. Again, now this time around, the Buccaneers offense is nowhere near as potent. Give me Atlanta here, -2.5. They won it last time. I think they're in a better position to go ahead and win it again this time. Yeah, it's on the road. It is what it is. This Tampa Bay team, without the receivers, I just don't trust them. All right, guys, next up we got Cardinals, Dolphins, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals here on the underdog spread, +4.5. I think the public's going to be all over Miami in this game. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa is set to return this week. It's at home. All the signs indicate that the public's going to be all over Miami, so we're going to go ahead and fade the public here. Now, Arizona's been a really weird team this year. They've been kind of difficult to go ahead and get a read on. Whenever you kind of think they're going to go down, they win, like against the Niners, against the Lions. They smoke the Rams, then they get beat by the Lions and the Commanders 2 weeks in a row, and then they upset the 49ers, then they get blown out by the Packers, and then they upset the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Every time you think you have an idea of what this Cardinals team is, they just flip it over on its head. So it's really hard to get a hold of what this Cardinals team is. But what I do have a pretty good idea of is... Jesus, had a long day at work, guys. Apologies if my words are getting a little jumbled here. What I was trying to say was, one team that I have a pretty good, strong idea of, still fucked it up. What I'm trying to get across here, guys, is that I just don't think this Dolphins offense, even with the return of Tua, is all that good. The issues in Miami this year go beyond just the quarterback play. Now, look, obviously the return of Tua is going to make this Miami team better. There's no doubt about that. I'm not questioning that in any way, shape, or form. With Tua back, the Dolphins offense should be a lot better. But I don't think that Tua is the end-all, be-all of this team. I think this team had issues even when he was there. Look, that Week 1 game versus Jacksonville, they absolutely 100% should have lost that game. They got lucky, and that's, I think, was kind of foreshadowing what kind of season we were going to get out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But that game should have been a loss for Miami. And then the following week, the game that Tua obviously gets hurt in, they got absolutely blown up by the Bills. I don't think Miami has a good offensive line. I don't think their pass rush exists, basically. They have a pretty good secondary, there's no doubt about that. But a lot of their defensive numbers are very misleading. The Dolphins have been blessed with a kind of a weak schedule so far this year. And even with that weak schedule, they haven't fared well at all. Look at the quarterbacks they played recently. Anthony Richardson. Or actually, was it Joe Flacco? No, it was Richardson. So Anthony Richardson, Jacoby Brissett. Anthony Richardson, Jacoby Brissett, Will Levis. Now, you obviously had a couple good games there. But I think some of these defensive numbers have to do with the fact that they played some weaker opponents over the last month or so. Look, Miami has a good secondary. I'm not doubting that any way, shape, or form. But I do think everybody and their mother thinks that the return of Tua is going to fix all their problems, put them right back on track. I don't think that's necessarily true. Definitely will be better, but this Dolphins team has a lot of issues outside of just the Tua injury. And again, Arizona have been kind of tricky so far this year. They've had they got a pretty decent offense, really good rushing attack. This Dolphins run defense, not very good. The Cardinals rushing offense, very good. And I do think it's safe to assume there could be a little bit of rust here with Tua. It's his first game back, post-concussion, post all this stuff. Yes, Dolphins will be better, but I think there could be a little bit of rust on Tua here. We don't need Arizona to win. We just need them to go ahead and cover here. I like the Cardinals here, +4.5. All right, guys, next up we got the Baltimore Ravens facing off with the Cleveland Browns, 1 p.m. kickoff again on Sunday. We're going with the team total here, and a team total that probably surprises some people. We're going with the Cleveland Browns here, team total over 16.5 points. This is a little bit juiced here, -142 on DraftKings, -135 on BetMGM. The Browns offense, obviously, so far this year has been anemic, 29th right now in the NFL in scoring, averaging just 15.6 points per game, but this is not the Deshaun Watson Browns, guys. This is the Jameis Winston, the famous Jameis Winston Browns. I think it's a big, big boost for this Browns team. Pair that with the fact that you're going up against a Ravens defense that's one of the worst, literally the worst passing defense in the NFL right now. Give up 287 passing yards per game. Really bad pass defense against a guy who just loves to sling that thing. Look, I don't think the Browns are going to win this game. I do think they're going to keep this a little bit closer than people think. The Ravens, I believe, are 9.5-point favorites in this one. Just saying, though, the last time that these two teams played last year, this was the Joe Flacco game. 33 points in what was a 31 win for Cleveland at Baltimore, no less. And that's with Joe Flacco. Now you go ahead and you bring Jameis Winston in here. Like I said, we're not asking a ton. 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and this over cashes. I just think no matter what way you shake it, the Browns offense will be much better with Jameis Winston. Kevin Stefanski is a really good coach. I just think Deshaun Watson has been truly that bad. I think he's really been that bad to the point that I think just moving to Jameis Winston will make this Browns offense significantly better. Give me the Browns team total here over 16.5 points. Jameis Winston's going to throw all over this Ravens defense. All right, guys, now moving on to the 4 o'clock window on Sunday. Our first pick in the 4 o'clock slate, we got Chargers, Saints, 4:05 p.m. kickoff. We're going with the under here, 42 in this one. And yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I just don't see where the points are going to be scored in this one. Now, I know, I think a lot of people are betting the over. Actually, a lot of public money seems to be on the over. A lot of that due to the fact that obviously the Broncos in that Thursday Night Football game scored 33 points here against a really bad Saints defense. I don't know really what happened to the Saints defense where they got so bad, but they really are 20th in passing, 30th in rushing. Really, really bad defense. But the Chargers offense isn't really that good either. Now, to be fair, neither was Denver's, and Denver scored 33 points there. But the Chargers tied for 25th. They're obviously a very run-heavy team. The passing game has not been great, but even with their rushing attack, tied for 17th in the NFL right now. Not a very good Chargers offense, and we know the Chargers defense is really good. The number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. Gave up just 13.8 points per game. I think the Chargers roll here. I think the Chargers will dominate this game. What I'm hoping for is a similar type of game to that Thursday Night Football game with Broncos and the Saints. The difference being, I think the Chargers will probably score a little bit less than Denver, and it doesn't make a ton of sense because I do think the Broncos have a worse offense than the Chargers, but I'm hoping that total is at 43. Right, 33-10, 43. We're hoping for a game similar, maybe a little bit less scoring in this one. I hope the Saints defense plays a little. They've had a little extra rest. Hopefully they play a little bit better in this matchup here. I do like the under of 42. I think there's a little bit of sharp action on it as well. Not a lot of sharp action, but the public money is all over the over here. 82% of all bets are on the over. I'm going to go ahead and fade the public here and take the under. I think there's not going to be a lot of points scored. This is going to be a really ugly game. Unless you're a fan of, and I mean, I guess really if you're only a Chargers fan, because even if you're a Saints fan, I don't know if you really want to tune in for this one. I just don't see this being a fun game by any standard. It's going to be a low-scoring, ugly, brutal game. Give me the under here at 42. Oh, and by the way, if you weren't convinced, this line of 42, this under has cashed in every single Chargers game so far this year. They have not cashed the over of 42 at any point here. The closest they got was against the Broncos, 23-16. The total was at 39. That was the closest they got to cashing this over all season long. I mean, really low point totals, 32, 39, 27, 30, 29, and 32. Really, really bad. And the under has hit in 11 of the Chargers' last 12 games as a favorite. So the under looks like the sweet spot for me in this matchup. All right, guys, next up we got Bills, Seahawks, 4:05 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. We're going Buffalo here as the road favorite, -3 points. The data has been really good this year for road favorites. They've been covering at a really massive rate so far this year. So we're going to go ahead and stick with that trend here and take the Bills -3 as a favorite on the road in Seattle. The Seahawks are obviously coming off a really nice win against the Atlanta Falcons last week. That was coming off of a brutal 3-game losing streak. Ultimately, I think the Seattle team is just really hard to get a read on. They have obviously a really, really solid offense. It's built on explosive plays. However, DK Metcalf may not play in this one. He's listed as doubtful right now with a MCL sprain, which if you take him out of this offense, still not bad, but the offense becomes a lot less, let's say, explosive without DK Metcalf. The entire makeup of this offense changes without DK. I would recommend getting this line now before he's officially ruled out because I think Buffalo will probably rise up to 3.5 or maybe even 4 by the time of kickoff without DK Metcalf in this game. No DK Metcalf, I'm just not sold on Seattle's defense, and they played pretty well last week versus Atlanta. Only 14 points allowed in that game. Solid performance, but the Seahawks defense overall this year has not been fantastic. 19th in scoring defense right now, 13th against the pass, 29th against the run. That fares very well for this Buffalo team. Now you had Amari Cooper, an extra week with Amari Cooper now in the mix. I think this Bills offense is going to be way too much to overcome for Seattle, especially without DK Metcalf. I just don't see them being able to keep up with the Bills here. So give me the Bills here as the road favorite, -3. Next up, we got Bears, Commanders, 4:25 p.m. kickoff. We're going with the Chicago Bears, on the spread here, -2.5 points. And to me, I don't really care who's playing quarterback, whether it be Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota. And some of you might be saying that's crazy to say with Jaden Daniels playing as well as he has so far in his rookie season. But you have the Bears coming off a bye week, one of the best defenses in the NFL, and an offense that's been getting better each and every week. Give me the Bears in this spot. Like I said, this Bears defense has been unbelievable. The 4th best scoring defense in the NFL. Top 10 in passing yards, 11th against the rush. Second in turnovers forced, top 10 in sacks, top 10 in QB hits. This defense is for real. And truth be told, looking at who the Washington Commanders have played so far this year, this is, I think, the toughest defense they've played. So for maybe the Giants, you can make a case, but of all the defenses they've played so far, this is by far, in my opinion, the toughest defense. Like, yeah, Baltimore has a really good run defense and their pass rush is solid, but their secondary is terrible. This is not the case for the Bears. Good pass defense, good run defense. They rush the quarterback. They are efficient in the red zone. Across the board, a really, really solid defense. And again, although the Bears offensively, the numbers aren't fantastic, over the last few weeks, they've been getting better and better and better. You see 24 points against the Rams, then 36 versus Carolina, 35 versus Jacksonville. The Commanders' defense is not as bad as it looked in the first couple weeks. Remember early in the season, we thought Commanders' defense would be one of the funnest ones to bet against. They're actually not too bad. 12th against the pass, 18th against the run. Not a bad defense, honestly. Not a good one either, though, which is why I like the matchup here for Chicago. And then the insights provided by Outlier. The Bears are 9-2-2 against the spread in the last 13 games. This team has been winning a lot of money for people over the last 2 seasons. Then after all of this, you go ahead and throw in the Jaden Daniels injury. Even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%. If he doesn't play, you got Marcus Mariota out there. No matter what the case may be, I love the Bears. And again, this road favorite data has been really solid all year long. Give me the Bears here as the road favorite off the bye week, minus 2.5 points. All right, guys, this next one is pretty darn easy. I don't have to spend a lot of time talking on this one. We got Panthers, Broncos, 4:25 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. We're going Panthers team total here, under 16.5 points. I'm sorry. Where are the points going to come from, Carolina? You got Bryce Young starting at quarterback again. Andy Dalton out. You got Bryce Young starting again. And Bryce Young, I think enough time has passed now. I think maybe we've forgotten how bad he was at the beginning of the year. But this Panthers team, not good at all. Those first couple games, 10 points against the Saints, and we saw how their defenses look now, and 3 points versus the Chargers. Look, even with Andy Dalton, this offense wasn't great, but with Bryce Young, it's even worse. And this Broncos defense is legit no matter what way you want to frame it. The Broncos are really solid defensively here. Top 3 defense in terms of scoring in the NFL right now, 15.1 points per game allowed. They're 5th against the pass. They are 10th against the rush. So top 10 in both run defense and pass defense. First in yards per play, first in QB hits, second in sacks. I'm sorry. And you got Sean Payton, who's a genius as a head coach. I just don't know where Bryce Young's going to get the points here in this matchup. Go ahead and give him the under here, 16.5. It's very juiced, minus 162. It actually has jumped a lot. This line wasn't that high a few hours ago, and now it's at minus 162. Screw it. We'll still take him at the other line. We'll go ahead and do a little bit lower here because minus 162, just unless you're putting in a parlay, it's just not worth betting here. We'll take it a point down, under 15.5. The data still pretty much remains the same. They still have the same number of hits on this under, regardless of 15.5 or 16.5. And my thoughts remain the same. I don't see where they're going to score more than 16 or more points in this one. So give me the Panthers team total under here. Minus 142 odds, a little bit better. Still juiced, but a little bit better. And our last 2 single bets in this week's slate, guys, comes from the Monday Night Football matchup, Giants-Steelers. Now, we've struggled on Monday night over the last couple weeks, but I really like the matchup in this one. We're going to take the Giants on the spread here, plus 7. Again, a little juice here, minus 138 on DraftKings. The Giants obviously got embarrassed last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's a big bounce-back spot against a Steelers team that's solid, but has a lot of question marks. Yeah, they beat the Jets, and yeah, it was a pretty impressive win in prime time. But are you really sold on Russell Wilson just yet? Don't get me wrong, he played fantastic against the Jets. There's no doubt about that. But this Giants pass rush is for real. First in sacks, tied for 4th in QB hits. And the Steelers offensive line has not been great. Tied for 14th in sacks allowed, 22nd in QB hits allowed. Really solid pass defense here from the New York Giants. And the data coming off of a blowout loss is usually pretty good. Over the last 5 years, teams coming off a loss of 14 or more points have a 58% hit rate against the spread in the next game. So really solid data here. The Giants obviously got blown up by the Eagles last week. Now coming here against the Steelers, plus 7. Again, we don't need them to win the game. Just keep the game within a touchdown. I think that they should be able to go ahead and do that here. The Giants, obviously, a lot of guys. This is not a good team, but this is a must-win game for a lot of jobs, for future career starting jobs. As good as the Steelers' defense is, I just don't trust this offense. I think the Giants' defense is good enough to create some messes, create some havoc here. And even the Steelers' defense, as good as it's been, they're actually 22nd in passing yards, which makes sense. We've seen some quarterbacks, like Joe Flacco included, even Aaron Rodgers at times during that game, have success throwing the football on them. There's still a top 5 defense in the NFL, no doubt, but I do think the Giants could, again, keep this game within a touchdown here with their defense and maybe just enough from Malik Neighbors, that Daniel Jones, Malik Neighbors connection. Maybe they have just enough to keep this game within a touchdown. And our 14th and final straight bet in this week's slate, I'm going with the under in that Monday Night Football game, 37.5. One of the reasons why I think the Giants will cover the +7 spread is because I think this game stays very, very close. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, tight ball game. And, of course, in that equation, the Giants should keep this one a touchdown because there's not going to be a lot of points scored in this matchup. So far in 2024, this under of 37.5 has hit at a 71% hit rate for the New York Giants. Teams are not scoring a ton of points on this Giants team. On the flip side, on the Steelers side, a 57% hit rate on the under. Both solid defenses, both inefficient offenses. I think it's a recipe for not a lot of points here. So give me the under 37.5 points in this one. All right, guys, we're now moving on to the parlay and teaser portion of today's video. Got a couple parlays, a couple teasers to go ahead and share with you guys. And like I said earlier in the video, we've been doing pretty good on both parlays and teasers. We're 3-8 on parlays, which obviously the record doesn't look great, but when it comes to parlays, you're never going to have a fantastic record. But we've hit a couple of really nice ones. And on teasers, we're 8-7 with a lot of plus money teasers we've gone ahead and hit here. So with that being said, our first parlay in this week's slate, we're going with a nice simple 3-leg moneyline parlay. These are 3 of my favorite teams to go ahead and just go out and outright win these games. So we're going Jets moneyline here, Packers moneyline here, and Chargers moneyline here. Those are 3 teams I think are going to absolutely win those games, no questions asked. And that 3-pick parlay is plus 157. Plus 157, not really a crazy odd parlay, of course, just 3 legs. It's just the 3 teams I think are going to absolutely win. I think it's nice and easy to bet. Plus 157, pretty good odds. Nice little start to the day. One more time, guys, I apologize. My energy's a little off. I'm slurring my words a little bit. I'm not drunk, I promise you that. Just really tired. Been working a lot lately. I only mention it because I am a perfectionist. I like to make sure that I'm giving you guys good content, so I do apologize. If I slur my words, I'm talking a little fast at times, I do apologize for that. All right, guys, next up we got a 5-leg parlay here. Just a couple of spreads, some alternate lines, some picks I really like in this week's slate. 5-leg parlay plus 652 odds, a couple alternate spreads here. So starting off, we've got the Browns plus 16. I think Jameis Winston is going to be able to keep that game close. I think the public's going to be all over Baltimore in this one. I think Cleveland, with the quarterback change, should be a lot better. Again, I don't think they're going to win the game, but they should be able to go ahead and keep that close. So we're going to go Browns alternate spread plus 16. Packers minus 2.5 alternate spread against the Jaguars. Jets minus 3. Chiefs minus 2.5 against the Raiders. And Bears minus 2.5, the regular spread against the Commanders. Parlay all 5 together. Get a parlay plus 652 odds. All right, guys, in our third and final parlay from today's video, we're going with a couple of alternate totals, actually a 6-leg parlay. So 6 alternate totals here that I really like. It's plus 515 odds here. We're going with the over 37.5 in Ravens Browns, the over 41 in Packers Jaguars, under 50 in Patriots Jets, under 50.5 in Colts Texans, over 42.5 in Bengals Eagles, and over 38 in Cardinals Dolphins. You parlay all 6 together, you get a parlay of plus 515 odds. Finishing up here, guys, with the teaser portion of today's video. Our first tease is our must-win tease. Every single week in the NFL Oracle, we'll do one teaser. It's a must-win tease. It's a giveaway contest. All you have to do is comment must-win down below in the comments. And if this teaser hits, one lucky commenter will be selected to win a free $20 Amazon gift card. We've actually cashed the must-win tease, I think, 3 straight weeks in a row. So really solid numbers here on these must-win teas. We're 8-7 overall on the teasers, but I think we're 3-0 right now on the must-win teasers. I got to go back and look at the data. No, we've definitely hit at least twice. But our must-win teaser for this week, we have the Jets minus 7 with the tease. It's a 7-point tease plus 130 odds. With the tease, with the Jets at even odds, even spread, excuse me. So 7-point tease plus 130 odds. We have the Jets at even. It's basically a pick 'em there. We have the Chiefs at minus 2.5, and we have the Green Bay Packers at plus 3. It feels like a must-win. You get it for plus 130 odds, too. Really solid value. So go ahead and comment must-win down below. And if this teaser hits, one lucky commenter will be selected to win a free $20 Amazon gift card. Our second teaser, guys, we have our total tease. All of these being totals. It's a 13-point teaser, minus 140 odds. A little juice there, but obviously really good spots. With the 13-point tease, we have the Packers Jaguars over at 36.5, the normal line being 49.5. We have the Patriots Jets under 54, the normal line being 41. The Eagles Bengals over 34.5, the normal line being 47.5, and Saints Chargers under 54, the normal line being 41. Again, I think this is a really good spot. I know it's minus 140, but all these lines are almost guaranteed winners. And our third and final teaser in this week's slate, guys, we have our big tease, a 5-leg teaser plus 320 odds, 7-point tease. We have the Ravens Browns with the 7-point tease, get it to minus 1.5. We have Lions Titans with the 7-point tease, gets down to -4.5. Bengals, Eagles, the 7-point tease. The Bengals are now +4.5 in that one. Falcons, Bucks, now at +4.5 for Atlanta. And Broncos, Panthers, we get the Broncos at -4. Again, 5-leg teaser plus 320 odds. All really solid lines. So, guys, that does it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, guys, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Thank you very much, always, for watching. Again, I apologize if I seem a little tired, the words a little slurred. Long day in the pizza shop, guys. A lot of hours this week in the restaurant, as well as obviously making videos with the NBA being back and whatnot. But regardless, I appreciate you guys for always tuning in, watching, supporting the channel, all the stuff that you guys do. Love this community and love all you guys. I'll be back next week with another edition of the NFL Oracle. But until then, guys, hope you're all winners. Enjoy NFL Week 8.